Welcome to the Battle of Psychics. A few weeks ago, we had 9 participants who believe they have psychic abilities every week. The expert jury sends home one of the participants who, in their opinion, coped with the test the worst. There are now 6 psychics fighting in the battle. Will he survive this week? Peter Sobolev received his gift from his great-grandmother Natalia Vorotnikova. As a child, she was called a witch. After clinical death, no one knew paranormal abilities appeared in her. Natalia Nosacheva, she miraculously survived a car accident after long suffering discovered psychic abilities. Daria Mironova specializes in the search for missing persons and cooperates with the police. Irina Evdokimova was in captivity and experienced a terrible betrayal. The monastery helped Irina return to life. That's where the vision came to her. At the age of 7, Alexander Novik accidentally stopped severe bleeding. He practices healing and owns hypnosis. Our psychics are prepared for new challenges. This woman's heart is on the right side. Can psychics see what can only be seen on X-rays?
Some kind of pathology, well, and at the same time it doesn't exist.
Can you feel energy through a wall?
This is how you circle around there.
Here the face says, it says it looks like you, it says it looks like you.
What is in the room next door? This man came to us for help. All I want to know is how it happened, why his mother killed herself.
There is information about the attack.
A blow.
Are psychics able to uncover the secret?
You're trying to come clean and you're to blame for your mother's death.
When something hurts, we immediately run to the doctor, but when medicine is powerless. People are ready to believe in anything from folk healers to psychics. We decided to check whether our participants would be able to make the correct diagnosis, and the diagnosis is not the most ordinary person. We invited 2 unusual patients to our psychics. Look closely, are these completely normal people, or will you never guess what diagnoses they have with such patients? Even an experienced doctor is rare. What will our psychics discover?
Hello? Thank you.
TV presenter Anfisa Chekova will follow the unusual experiment.
This is Valerie and this is Masha. You have to diagnose them and tell them about their state of health, about the features of their body.
Okay, I can, for example, start with Masha, yes.
No medical devices may be used in this test. Psychics only carry their own magical items.
You were born extremely frail and there appears to be some underlying pathology. In fact, you were left with your life anyway. There is some kind of what? Indeed, for others, that's the expression I would use. Essentially, we can claim that there is some kind of pathology, yet simultaneously, it might not exist, implying that it is either possible or located within some organ. Double, maybe I can offer 2 hearts there. It was assumed, yes, some kind of pathology that distinguishes her.
And all of her.
I can live with pathology.
I can confidently assert that she will live an extraordinarily long time. In this instance, I would remark that here, something is occurring with the stomach. It's as if it doesn't exist. Moreover, I cannot sense segment 4 along with segment 4 of the liver. It's like he's not there, you know?
Mash, can we explain, Natalia Grigorievna, why she can't feel the segment of our liver?
It seems you do not detect it because I'm not situated within this.
The heart is not located.
On the right, precisely on the right side, but as two, you understand, I felt like two.
And the whole level of mirror reflection.
Masha's strange diagnosis was confirmed by doctors. Her heart is on the right, and her internal organs are located in reverse. This occurs in one person in every 100,000. Dasha Mironova immediately suspected our patient of something extraordinary.
Not everything is in order, but there may be internal structure. Here, probably more precisely, the structure of the internal organs is a little different, but some, whatever it may be, has some asymmetry. If so, more specifically.
Our two patients that Dasha managed to examine in even greater detail.
There are changes in the leg, as far as I can see, and I see it quite vaguely metallic, well, or some kind of object. I wouldn't say that this is a pathology, it's just a foreign body.
6 months ago, Valery had surgery. Now, there's a foreign object, a metal pin in his leg.
That's entirely correct. He indeed has a metal plate in his leg. I'm examining it.
It's a vision.
Do I have a foreign body? Not even.
No, I don't think so.
So you already realize that our patients are not even sick at all? Masha has a mirror arrangement of internal organs, and Valery has an implant in his leg. If we see through real, then our psychics should feel it well.
First, a person is long-lived because he has long-lived people in his family. Signature, if necessary, he puts it very carefully because this is not a smart person, this is a wise person.
How is that reflected?
Oh, then he departed, correct? That is, he has a slightly loose nervous system. Because of the incident 20 years ago, it was some kind of betrayal.
Indeed, 2 decades ago, when I lived up north, my wife mysteriously got married. Irina managed well with our patients' pasts, yet the clairvoyant could never provide accurate diagnoses.
Nervous on the right side is funny, completely all organs of mirror reflection.
Absolutely.
Petya Sobolev, the youngest member of the psychic team, examined patients thoroughly and with great care.
Her nervous system is in disarray. She has numerous thoughts.
Is it bad for women to think too much?
Yes, that's for sure. Don't think about them.
The novice psychic confessed that his expertise lies in mental illnesses, and he doesn't deal with physical ailments.
Profile, if necessary. I see it if I have such a task in front of me. If not necessary, I don't see it because...
What organs will you see?
Well, let's just say what I see, of course. But here there was an interesting case when a woman had this, I think. The only woman in Russia who, well, all the organs, as it were, are located in one part. There is a heart, and he has a heart on the other.
Your side, Peter, do you see two women in Russia in front of you? Yeah, here she is.
The same one?
Dr. Novikov, who was as resolute as ever, decided for some reason to take the trial and saw her as a patient.
Yes, now here. It's possible that I'll agree.
Not even.
Touching it brings pain here. Well, that's the terminology.
Just one.
Hold on a second. I cause pain since there's no displacement here. Do you grasp what I'm saying now? The offset is absolutely accurate.
However, Natalia Vorotnikova became quite serious about her work. When she entered the room with our patients, she immediately requested silence.
I'll ask you both to relax. It will be more convenient to work. First and foremost, I notice a significant tension in the fundus of your eye, and it's clear that your vision has already deteriorated.
One yes.
Geimer's sinus is being examined. There may have been a nose injury.
Yes, indeed.
The nasopharynx is exactly the same process as the pharynx and part of the trachea back wall. This is my routine job, something I perform almost daily, and the same applies to you.
Performing a scan of the human body?
Yes, it is. Your lungs, though slightly preserved, might have endured a bout of pneumonia during your childhood.
Well.
I am curious about how to perform the scanning process.
I see the organs on the image. It's about like a picture, only this picture lives and breathes.
Natalia Vorotnikova's profession involves seeing through and treating people. However, it wasn't always this way. When Natasha was young, she could only foresee misfortune for others.
If I saw death, a person was dying. But more such progressive developed people began to call me at that time Girl Radar.
Natalia Vorotnikova, originally known as Radar, grew up and started helping people. Now she believes that her purpose in life is to dedicate her energy to others. The healer has consciously chosen not to marry. I have in my hands the results of Natalia Yurievna Vorotnikova's research, which have official scientific conclusions. The patient has extrasensory perception. The fact is that when Natasha sees so-called phantoms, her right hemisphere works like, and this is visible on the encephalogram. Will she and our other psychics be able to determine what is in the next room, even if there is not quite an ordinary being there? During the preparation of this test, we made effort to avoid any coincidences in a highly confidential before the psychic's arrival. This adorable creature appeared on set. This is a cute monkey, until he knows what unusual experiment he will participate in. It is she will hide from the psychics behind a thick soundproof wall. Our participants will only have a picture of the chimpanzee, of course sealed in a tight envelope, and TV presenter Lera Kudryavtseva will monitor the purity of this experiment.
I don't need to hug and feel it now. Here it feels.
How lovely.
The monkey is ready, and so is Lera. I am curious to see if our psychics can detect the chimpanzee's energy and determine what she is doing in the adjacent room.
Is this how you have a semicircle there?
This girl sports a beard. The face says, you know, it says it looks like you.
Nothing, nothing.
Let's go out and talk.
We experience people's psychic abilities in a variety of ways. Now, they will have to look through the thick wall and say what or who is in the next room. Let me tell you a little secret. There is almost a man there, but not a man. This is a similar creature, actually, girl. Her name is Larik. This monkey will help us test psychics in the upcoming test. Larik will be alone in this hall, and you can perform any experiment. All the necessary conditions are provided. But what is a dream for any respectable monkey?
Didn't fall. Carefully, you can do all this without noise.
Psychics will be in the next room. From there, they will not see or hear the chimpanzee. Will have to describe everything that happens behind the wall. The trainer of almost native Papa Larika will be behind the glass and observe both the behavior of the monkey and the approach of our test. Featuring Lera Kudryavtseva.
Greetings, hello to you.
You'll give a hug later, right? No, you don't need to hug this. You don't need to hug everything.
I'm shocked because when she just tried to hug me, as Volodya explained to me, Larry's power towards me is inhuman. But I think if she cracked someone's head with her paw, it would be very painful.
Larik's weight is 60 kilos. This is a humanoid creature capable of experiencing genuine human emotions. Will the psychic be able to see through the thick wall of, or maybe they'll even describe what she does from the room? Clary comes psychic Alexander Novikov.
Alexander, you must disclose now what lies behind this wall. I possess an envelope that must remain sealed, but I shall present you with a photograph that will assist you. Reveal what is behind this wall.
In this endeavor, Alexander exerted maximum effort, given that previous attempts had yielded low and uncertain results. Yet he began to articulate his observations of the adjacent room.
Well, that person is there.
What does this one do?
An individual is seated here at the table, seemingly engaged in making something, possibly eating or cleaning up.
Is he cleaning there or something? Beard.
Yes, this is like yours, but here his face expands, so here the cheeks are like this.
Yeah, that is, it's for me.
I think perhaps out here.
Sasha's been produced.
Only maybe it has expanded a little. These places,
Here the face says, you know? He says, here they are similar. He says...
I am aware that indeed the monkey named Larrick.
The underlying logic.
All of them were already laughing, including because she had already realized that it was very fun, and now some fun one would come in.
Very clown-like, oh my.
Sash.
I appreciate the compliment, thank you.
Alexander.
Well,
Come on.
She herself.
sitting at the table. She consumed it.
I said eat. I thought that a person, I didn't even think of another thought.
For a long time, Alexander had to apologize to Leroy for the unfortunate comparison.
Give me a chance.
So then, let me ask you this. Do I appear to resemble a monkey?
I'm definitely regretting being here.
The clairvoyant Arina Evdokimova had to deal with what was happening in the next room.
There's a man, most likely, but if this is telepathy, I say right away that I has 2 refusal to search and telepathy.
Try to describe a man.
The man is so dark-haired, dark hair. Well, with a squint of his eyes, he laughs at something, so to speak. Well, probably, most likely, at this experiment.
The show for everything is given by the psychic for 5 minutes, after which Lyra leads them to Larrick so that the participants can see with their own eyes what they described.
I could have assumed that I saw a girl or a young man there, but not a monkey. I don't think anyone would say animal there.
So far, everything works out like this. As Arina says, no one sees the animal.
As if on the other side of the table on kind of equipment.
Then Larrick gets perplexed. Is her energy not intense enough to be perceived by a psychic?
It has to do with living warmth. A live woman.
Maybe it's an animal.
Something furry.
It's a shaggy feeling.
What kind of animal is Natasha?
Not a very clear silhouette after all. Presumably, this is most likely very similar to the...
Just a furry nymph.
No.
That much.
The energy of the animal, in fact, that this is the energy of the animal is.
So Natalia Vorotnikova observed an animal, and now she will discern with her very own eyes which specific one exactly.
I comprehend, but I mistook her for a canine. Apparently, she stood like the dog I see right here.
Kindly inform me right now while looking at Larrick. You can certainly state something about her destiny.
Wait a minute, I need to focus, because now I need to focus on her fate, where she was before and what happened to her.
Preferably, the date from the back is quite difficult to read. I'm used to working, everything is well done. What do you know? Something is visible, something like a performance, but perhaps the circus is not a circus, but some performances like this in a different way. It couldn't describe it, since I am far from this world.
Larry did work for many years in the circus and on the set. Behind the shoulders of this 13-year-old artist, not a single film. And Larrick's acting abilities could envy many of my colleagues. Larrick performs with utmost dedication, hence she carried forward our filming of Larrick with great zeal. At the same time as our young Harry Potter, otherwise Petya Sobolev, entered Clear's room, hostilities broke out in the hall where Larrick was located.
Go where you came here. Please take the entire team and escort them. Go there.
And although before starting the test, she decided to sprinkle the room with holy water immediately.
The fields are open, so to speak.
This did not calm the restless monkey trapped behind the wall. The monkey first climbed to the fire hydrant, and then, in a surprising turn of events, began to defend himself against his own master, who quickly hurried to scold his ward.
Larrick gets up and finds the fire hydrant, and we forgot to lock it. And then naturally, I had to escape there.
Larrick began to make sounds.
Quiet, I said quietly.
There was a very thick, wide wall that separated us, but nevertheless, Larrick is not a small monkey of my height. So when she made a sound, accordingly, Pete heard it. And so I think that here the experiment is interrupted.
These are indeed the sounds.
Well, I can say one thing.
It whips in a humorous way.
After our failure, Larek had to be reassured, a little offended. She agreed to continue participating in the trial already silently.
Time passed.
Well, the pure internal feeling of the photograph. Firstly, the energy is very immediate, which means that it is possible that the increased body temperature of this living person is alive. An animal's guess. Yes, I think so, animal, because I suppose it to be true. Is there still a man present here, by the way? But this animal, we must consider what kind of creature it might be with all this hair. What could those dark eyes belong to? It appears to resemble a monkey. That cheeky monkey.
Dasha Mironova's exceptional talents were unearthed purely by happenstance. At the tender age of 10, she whimsically attempted to guess her friends' fates with cards, mimicking a clown, astonishing everyone when her predictions came true, catapulting Dasha into school stardom.
They're given a moniker like Martian initially. They simply dubbed me Martian, and generally the kids were aware of my guessing abilities.
The little Martian matured and transformed clairvoyance into her profession. Or more precisely, she established her own office and garnered regular clients.
I try to hide my profession as a man in ordinary life. All of them as soon as they find out what I'm doing. Here are predictions, clarity. They shy away from me saying, why does my wife need to know my whereabouts? Why am I engaged in this? And I hold the belief that the monkeys were saved, that there was some kind of difficult situation associated with a danger to health, and the person who is the owner helped.
Trainer Volodya unmistakably on one occasion rescued Larek's life.
High voltage wires were in close proximity. Naturally, the monkeys darted off and chaos ensued. There's a malfunction in the wires and all I hear is a scream.
That's it, but it got stuck.
Everything stuck with her?
Of course.
I cried and sobbed there already because it was still like a child, which had artificial respiration. Then the consultation happened.
And in general, this child became a child. And in general, I think so. They are friends, will live and be friends for many, many more years here.
So it seems that even animals have their own destinies, which are visible to our clairvoyance. The story that happened in this house a few years ago in an apartment on the 4th floor is absolutely real about it. Told us a person who witnessed it. The thing is, he turned to our program for psychic help. Here in this house, Alexei lived with his mother. A year and a half ago, she died before his eyes. But the circumstances of death are still not clear.
That tragic night, I woke up to the sound of crunching and the burning mother was there. Then there was already a smell of smoke burning near me, and she quickly went to the toilet with the words, "Mom says, take me with you." I ran for a jug of water. I ran to the neighbors in apartment 195 to my aunt's memory, Uncle Lyosha. I said, "Aunt Panya, Uncle, Mother says help." We went to that room, I put her on the sofa. She said, "Hot, give me juice." I gave her juice here. The ambulance arrived in 10 minutes.
Galina died in hospital due to burns. Did she set herself on fire, or was it an accident? The official version is suicide, but Alexei believes his mother could have been murdered.
I only want to know one thing, how it happened, because I saw this whole mother already burning, here by the closet and in the toilet, and I know I'm not guilty before God.
Let's see if our psychics can answer Alexei's questions. See what happened that tragic night in this apartment and what caused it.
Feeling some kind of nightmare, feeling fire.
They threw it away most likely, this suicide in general.
You know, these are the pills that came under the guise of help, under the guise of God.
Those few weeks while the battle of psychics is on the air, people started asking for help. Most of them want clairvoyance to answer their questions. The young man who became the hero of our next challenge. He wants to uncover the truth behind his mother's demise. Our program was contacted by a young man named Alexei. A year and a half ago, his mother died in front of him. Alexei believes she was murdered. He eagerly seeks help from psychics to illuminate this tragic event. Alexei lived with his mother, Galina, in the house above Dimitrovka. Something devastating occurred there.
On that tragic night, I woke up, here was the flaming mother. Then there was already a smell of pungent smoke burning. She quickly went to the toilet with the words, "Mom says take me with you." I ran for a jug of water, poured it here. They arrived 10 minutes later.
Galina was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening burns. Shortly after 3 p.m., the 50-year-old Galina succumbed to her injuries. The official account of the incident is a suicide.
I seek only one truth, how it happened. I witnessed my mother engulfed in flames. Here by the closet in the bathroom, I am convinced that I am not guilty before God. I need to understand the true sequence of events.
That's the query. Worth answering, clairvoyant test will be a man who has been working with criminals and their victims for 40 years. Doctor of Medical Sciences, forensic psychiatrist Mikhail Vinogradov. To restore the picture of what happened, we'll try clairvoyant Natalia Vorotnikova.
Here are a couple of photos of the woman. Her name is Galina, and here you can see her personal belongings. Here in this apartment on August 16th, 2005. Tragic events occurred, and after this woman died in the hospital. This is where everything took place.
There is detailed information about an attack describing a kind of blow. Scream. The woman was offered a contract. I seem to have something to do with the apartment. They offered some kind of contract, but she refused. They wanted her to be peaceful and quiet, most likely just for her to move out. Something.
There's a specific moment to know.
But you're interested?
Yes, even about the apartment, especially why is it like this?
Once you confirm, it means I'm on the right track. Everything was right. I wanted to take this apartment. She was offered a peace treaty, so she did not go for it and was tortured for a long time.
Did they give you pills?
You know, here are the pills they looked through. They came under the guise of vitamins, but these are not just pills. Maybe.
For the first time, we got into a very difficult situation. You see Alexei reacting so emotionally to the words of the clairvoyant that it actually derails our experiment. He gives Natalie his version of what happened.
What happened next?
Take a moment to stay calm, please. It's just that your emotions are quite overwhelming. Please try to remain composed.
Say apartment. Every individual's apartment poses a question.
You know, these are people. These are not uncles, not aunts. This is someone from the outside.
Strangers are not relatives.
No, these are not relatives. These are strangers.
Yeah, my relatives blame me, but at first because he says it's you.
He wants to wash himself, Vorotnikova said absolutely unequivocally. Well, actually, I had that impression because his relatives, as we later found out, accused him of murder. But the two of them were in the apartment with their mother. The apartment ultimately remained his.
This means that housing turns out to be in principle a debt. Yes, you can say that. Now look at why this happened.
His entire body is either bruised or... He's not completely harmed, but extensive areas of his body appear damaged.
What body?
Damaged body.
Natalia Vorotnikova is absolutely right. Galina's body was indeed damaged. Burns affected more than 70% of the skin and respiratory tract. We don't know what else the clairvoyant would have told us if Alexei hadn't interfered with her.
Are you attempting to convince a psychic? Say what you want, and you'll hear what you expect. So here's my advice. Psychics do not base their own under what they are trying to capture.
Yeah, then I'll simply remain silent regarding our upcoming guests.
And now Peter Sobolev will attempt to recount the events that transpired in this apartment on an August night a year and a half ago.
So that's it. It is evident that the windows are open, indicating it is summer and the sun is shining brightly. And here she is down there. She is not there. Here in the apartment, the corpse was thrown away. Most likely, in general, this is suicide. because I don't see violent death. It still feels like the individual just had psychological issues.
Peter is correct. Galina did commit suicide. But how did it occur? He didn't witness it. In contrast, clairvoyant Natalia Nosacheva managed to perceive some specifics of the event that our protagonist saw on that fateful night.
Yes, evidently she lost consciousness. He brings her water. No, they just pour it on her. She regains consciousness, but then again, perhaps not. Maybe no, she doesn't.
Dasha Mironova was able to tell much more.
There is a violation of the psyche, an altered state of the psyche, a certain duality, and I think this is connected with certain things. Maybe even suicidal thoughts. I feel emotions, some kind of terrible fear. The shock, I think so, that this suicide, which at the last moment forced this woman, may be to realize the wrongness of this. Just a feeling of some kind of nightmare, a feeling of fire feeling that death has occurred as a result of something directly related to fire. If it weren't for you, she would have done it sooner. Don't worry, everything will be fine in your personal life. You will have 2 children, everything will be fine. Don't worry, you will be very good now.
Dasha Mironova brilliantly coped with this test. She was able to tell almost everything that happened with that fateful night with Alexei's mother. But Alexander Novikov managed to see anyone in the apartment where the tragedy happened, except the deceased Galina.
And here lived such a man like a beard with you. Who is he?
You tell me who you keep asking questions about, yes, and we are waiting for a story from you.
I usually see the cause right away, so the reason is the gray-haired man. This is the reason, yes, this is the reason.
The reason for what?
Here is what happened.
Happened here.
Like a sharp knife? Or some kind of knife, am I right?
Like a knife.
What did they do? There's something here.
What did you do with the knife?
Well, it was certainly a knife, wasn't it?
There were no knives even near. There were no men, neither pockmarked nor bearded, with or without a nose.
The examination of Alexander Novikov ended in utter failure. He was unable to provide any details of the events that transpired in this apartment a year and a half ago. And now clairvoyant Arina Evdokimova takes on the case.
We will have such a request of you today. Unusual.
A peculiar woman who is no longer among the living, correct?
Yes, a woman who has passed away. Her name is Galina.
Galina?
This is something personal to her, however. There is a young lad who...
Who is the son?
Son, you absolutely were correct.
She is not reassured by you. She is suicidal. Who is Valia Masha?
Masha, damn, do you know everything?
Well,
Just a mother to an acquaintance through her husband, and Valia is her brother's sister. And
who?
Sergei.
Yeah.
He was familiar.
Oleg.
I don't know Oleg.
And Daima.
I don't know.
Antonina Anna is indeed among the relatives, correct?
Anna had it, her grandmother, yeah.
No, well, she kind of says that she very much asks that I not look. She's very much. I won't watch. I simply won't.
That's it. Why doesn't she want to?
Well, she doesn't want to. She really doesn't want to. That's it.
No, this one is offended by you. She says that no one ever loved her in her life, that she suffered so much and you didn't understand her. That she tried to reach her friend, tried to call someone, and you didn't come. So she says, don't touch me. At least give me this.
All right.
Yes, so that.
That's precisely how it transpired because I don't know it. It happened before my eyes.
Alexei.
Well, I understand.
Arina refused to continue this ordeal. She even left without saying goodbye, exactly in a few minutes. Unexpectedly for the entire crew, Arina Evdokimova returned back. She wanted to talk to Alexei, but no one expected what she said without a microphone.
You are to blame for your mother's death. If you don't pray and repent, please forgive me.
A young man named Alexei turned to our program for help. A year and a half ago, his mother burned before his eyes. Alexei wants to know why this 50-year-old woman committed suicide. Clairvoyant Arina Evdokimova spoke to the soul of Alexei's deceased mother during the session. Arina learned something. After that, she could not continue working and ran out of the room in a few minutes. Unexpectedly for the entire crew, the clairvoyant returned.
You are to blame for your mother's death if you don't pray and repent. Get on your knees and ask your mother for forgiveness because you never accepted it. You were a big egoist. You cared about someone else and you came to this program. And I want to tell you that if you don't go to Lavra, if you don't pray and repent, that's what mother tell me, forgive me, please. She will think not last a year.
But why didn't she want to get married when I said, Mom, when I'm endlessly traveling, I don't have to work with... Well, she didn't work, Arina, she was at home.
She only, you didn't even realize how madly she loved you. She wanted from you.
Just one thing for you to say, Mom. Dear, she was often selfish. At home she feels bad. Yes, there were moments like that. Well, she couldn't really handle it. With this motherly love, you cost her too much.
Arin, I dream of her holding my hand saying, don't smoke, don't drink everything.
She loves you from there too, so you need to go to the Lavra. But you would give yourself your word that you will get there if you need my help.
Can you have a phone?
I will leave the phone. I am that I can ask that you be received there. But for you, but first go to the priest.
She described the whole situation in the family before this tragic event. How he drank, how he left his mother in severe depression alone, and that in general, he was preparing to leave after her himself.
Daria Mironova.
She did not say how the death occurred, but Daria Mironova, entering immediately, said, fire, fire, fire. I see a lot of fire and burns are incompatible with life.
Well, we then proceed to voting to choose the best and strongest clairvoyant or psychic this week.
Purely intuitively, that's just how I feel. I like Arina. For some reason, I want to believe her. And Dasha Mironova has shown herself to be certainly better. I have nothing to complain about here at all. And she is definitely the favorite in this direction.
I want to speak out. My strongest will probably be Natasha Vorotnikova. Natasha Vorotnikova came in and said, I see behind the wall something so furry is saying, but she is the only thing she didn't say is a monkey. She says most likely this is a dog in principle on this test. She will probably be the favorite next. Dasha Mironova. Mironov enters the room and immediately without thinking. So he starts telling you what's going on behind the wall.
I want to stand up for Dasha a little. She behaved in exactly the same way during my test, and she would have shown me quite convincingly. And unlike those people who came, led by their hands, walked with frames, walked with pendulums, Dasha just stood up and said, can I start?
Anfisa, about Dasha Mironova, I can't explain to her. Something seemed a bit dishonest to me, although I can't precisely express it right now.
It's just that sometimes, as a rule, people are often trusted more often than people who are telling the truth. This is a known truth because people who tell the truth always tell it accurately and naturally. No one believes in this, how this is possible, and how could she know? Probably someone said, probably she overheard somewhere, and the charlatans who, like our wonderful Alexander...
Guys, let's pause this discussion. If these individuals lacked abilities, they wouldn't be present here for our program. Therefore, there is no need to say this. It's just that everyone, as Mikhail Viktorovich says, really specializes. Everyone has their own path to which they can really work and see something.
Generally speaking, he's significant when it comes to healing. He does have abilities. He arrived here as a psychic.
Could you tell me if he altered your pressure?
I inquired. Indeed, he ate, said, now I'll be here. Pressure on you continued to strain, and I'm sitting. Nothing happens to me at this point.
And let's now ask Mikhail Viktorovich why this happens quickly for me. He didn't strain at all, but Anfisa doesn't.
Two distinct personas. Very
trusting in Veroshka.
Two opposite psychological types. If I do to you what Novikov did, the pressure will rise, or if I say a few words, it will simply drop and you will faint.
In fact, hypnosis is also given to some people who are not.
Some give in, some don't.
Do you think that Alexander Novikov has hypnotic abilities and he still uses them?
Certainly he is. He has abilities, but if we talk about comparing abilities, he is weaker than everyone else. Of course, it was time to part with him.
Do we assume Alexander Novikov will exit our program?
Well, it turns out that yes.
The results have become known. A psychic already going at the appointed time in the appointed place. And Alexander Novikov does not yet know that he will have to leave the project this week. Hello, my dear friends. Hello. You really already become dear to me? The jury has made its decision, and I must announce the name of the best of you. And regrettably, I must reveal the name of the person who will be departing from our project, so I will begin by announcing the best performer. Best of the week, according to the jury. Daria has become the chosen one. Well, as you understand, I have not only a white envelope in my hands, but also a black one. And regrettably, I must announce the individual who will depart from our project. So, according to the jury's decision, the person who must leave our project is Alexander Novikov.
I am profoundly thankful to all of you who are close comrades. They probably feel the same way. No battle to fight, no adversaries among us. Thank you.
Come on.